Public architecture means a space, means a flexible space, means a space where many things organized by people from different communities can gather and do things. So we believe that architecture needs to be a canvas for many things to happen and to allow friction in a way. I mean friction by saying that forces interact in public space. Different opinions, different ways of thinking about activities that can affect and promote social benefits. So each different community has different memories, different problems that need to be addressed. So public space and architecture become tools for playing a role within those issues and hopefully solving certain or helping to move on the question to another place.
Okay. Hello, Colectivo C733, and welcome to your first ArchDaily interview. Congratulations on winning the 6th edition of the Obel Award. So, who is Colectivo C733 and what is your primary mission?
Okay, so Colectivo C733, of course, is the 5 of us united as from friendship and from sharing a strong passion for architecture towards the belief that designing public space is a way of transforming realities and to working with societies to imagine new futures, new possibilities. So even though this union of Colectivo C733 comes from different practices, we all gather in this practice to work on this, to work on the mission of making free, accessible, and cosmic public space. Of course, we need to say that behind the cosmic concept that you always like to talk a lot about, there's the principles that architecture needs to be grounded into the site, and we use the concept of the 733 as a metaphor for Eladio Dieste phrase that said that architecture thought for public space should always be very logical, really also efficient and economical, but not in a monetary way, but in a cosmic way. So that always draws the question of how we link to culture, we link to site, and we link to stronger questions about the way we live our public space.
Nice. So how does it feel to bring the Obel Award to Mexico and to your community?
Well, I think we're really proud and honored. All of us, we are Pumas, so we belong to the National University in Mexico, to the Faculty of Architecture. And I think it's very important for us to share this. We deeply believe in generosity, and we think that architecture is a work of generosity and should be. So I think receiving this award is an opportunity, of course, for us to share to other latitudes what's happening in our country. I think that is important. What happens with the diversity that we live in and that happens in our country, and also the responsibility of I think sharing with our students, with our colleagues, and sharing with the world Mexico, because we have a very powerful, strong, and amazing culture as well.
Beautiful. So the name Colectivo reflects collaboration. So how did this collective basically shape your practice, and what challenges or also benefits did it bring if we compare it to a traditional architecture firm?
Probably it has to do with the democratic force in a way. It's a good thing that we are 5 because we are always discussing, and I mean we share common backgrounds and common interests, but sometimes it gets difficult to push in several directions. So I think it is important for architecture to understand that maybe it is time to not put some effort in the ego but in the force of the team. So for us has been work very, very good, that idea that the voice doesn't belong to a person, but a system, a group. At some point, it's always easy to get this, the three of us, I mean, since we are five, when three just decide one thing, it's like the majority has spoken.
We always say, sorry. I think the particularity of the program was really beautiful because at the end, even though they asked us, for example, to produce a community center or a plaza or whatever program was needed, especially by the requisition of the local government to the federal government, we always search for other voices, not only to hear the community, of course, because the process was really quick most of the times. We wanted to hear these different voices, but sometimes we choose like someone that wasn't part of the team originally. Like when we worked in Bacalar, we called Luisa Falcón, which we searched her in internet and find out that she was the most important biologist working for 20 years in Bacalar, because we were really scared to work on those conditions, you see. And for example, when we work in Tapachula, we knew that in the train station that was kind of abandoned, but there were a lot of organizations that were already trying to work on that site. We searched for a leading voice there that could help us. It is really difficult to wrap all the voices because the process would be longer. But I think choosing and working in straight hand with local voices had been very important and powerful, and also a good opportunity to ask ourselves new questions, because, and that's the flexibility I started with talking about the program, that, for example, the Ecoparque, that was meant to be a community center, because of Luisa's voice, we found out we should create a very public dock that was a building at the same time, and the opportunity to share knowledge and to make the people understand the values and the transformation of the lagoon, the mangrove, and the stars, and that relationship, which sometimes we forgot. And I think these values happened in many spaces. Like in Ayoxuxtla, we work with the teacher of the school, the only school that Ayoxuxtla has. And in Blas, of course, we had many voices, the Marines that were there, the hotels, the owner of hotels that had their voice, and the artisans that were gonna sell their things in the market, and the ferry, you know, always having other voices was important for the process, because we could change the program in some ways, and we could fix the program since the beginning. And I think that's the difference, that when you're meant to design, let's say, a theater, you search for a specific, let's say, the expert doing theaters, so he could be a consultant. In this case, we search for someone that has a voice, but not necessarily the one that was meant to be on that specific project. And I think that gives us new ways to see, new ways. For example, in Tabasco, we work with a guy that was an expert on water. And he told us and showed us an app that showed us the future of Tabasco. So we saw from a distance because of his voice. And I think, again, being specific, being precise, but at the same time being a bit concerned of all the problems and involving on that sense, that's the way we think we got related to the community. Not on that wide sense, but in this very specific one. And then I think the most important transformation with the community will happen in the future, and is happening already.
We never knew, of course, that there were going to be 36 projects in 36 months. That was something that in the end came up being, if you add all single projects we made. It all started with one single project, a competition of a public market that we won, and was an open call from the university and the Faculty of Architecture. The public university in Mexico made this open call competition, and then from winning that and observing the results in the construction, SEDATU decided to commission us, Colectivo C733, with more projects. And then they gave us one more project in the northern border, and then the construction results were also good, so that turned into 2 in the southern border, and then they gave us 4 in Tabasco, and then they started to come up. So the family of Colectivo grew also with collaborators and experts, yes. And I would say that we eventually came up with a methodology and a way of working that allowed to have a continuous collaboration with the Ministry of Urban Development in Mexico. And the most challenging project, if I may carry on just with this question, we would say it's the 37th, because it's the one that took us almost or more than 2 years, 2 years and a half, and it's in Tulum. But that project is it's a master plan for a very large area of natural reserve, but combined with the urban growth of Tulum. It's a beach in the southeast of Mexico, and it's a project that has to do with preserving, protecting, and expanding and establishing a new relationship between the city and the natural area in Tulum that has also a historical Mayan ruins inside. So it's a very complex, very rich project that it's not part of the 36 because it's just finished, and it's actually a different program. It's not the urban development program. It's a specific project of protecting a natural area.
We lived in a very complex and rich country, I think. The complexities is like all the time there. We like to think that it's the fuel for architecture and the ideas all the time. And of course, those difficulties allows you to think in quick answers and but profound ideas that can solve those issues and those complexities. For instance, in this Ecoparque project that was meant to be a community center at the beginning, but was in a plot where the final part of the mangrove of that part of the lagoon, in Bacalar Lagoon, it was the remaining part of the mangrove there. So we decided in that particular case, architecture was not that important as to protect the nature. So we decided not to reconfigure the program, and for that the project was almost cancelled. I mean, it was cancelled, but then reborn because
How many times?
2 times, dies 2 times, and reborn 3, and because as we defend some fundamental ideas that has to do with the protection of nature, the program could evolve to that point. But it was very difficult because it needs a lot dialogue with community, institution, local authorities. But at the end, I think the spirit of like kindness and knowledge endure to allows this project to be like a frame that protects the mangrove, the lagoon, but also it is an instrument to observe like the sky and different phenomena. I think we have managed to always think that we need to be very flexible all the time, not just with our project, but with our way of working. So yeah, we think that probably it will be impossible for us not to work along the team and the people involved. I mean, the five of us probably will stay like working together in some ways or another. We hope that this first like period of our team can evolve in several directions, and we think it is important to mention that some of the people who started working with us 5 years ago, now they have different skills. So the family is like growing in a way, and that allows us to think in different typologies, different scales, and different collaborations.
And that links to a balance that it's very important for the Colectivo, which is we all have a personal practice, and what we do for Colectivo comes from passion for public space, and it's never for like of course you need to have income to sustain a team, but the priority is always the quality of the work, the results. It's not like it's just, since it comes from shared passion, I think we all put like I don't know, our nicest bit of effort here, and it's complementary to other type of projects that we may have for private clients or whatever. You know? So
yeah, but
it's a balance.
We all the time said that the project of the Colectivo starts with the team that we created, and I think even though we shared a common ground, we are still unique and have particularities that are important for the work that we had done. We needed to overlap time, because we didn't have time. So at the end, the sum of the skills, of the different skills that we had, was important specifically for this. So I think I always said that you never believe that, because when you're a student or when you always think the project starts when you start to draw. But I think in this case, the project starts curating the people that would be part of this.
And of course, we've also worked with, like, not only in cities, but also in smaller communities. As you know, the cities are expanding so much, but a lot of the work of Colectivo has looked into small communities that, on the other hand, don't have the infrastructure. So doing public projects become like providing new infrastructure for sometimes very basic things. So on one hand, in a city, we try to create voids or silence because there's a lot of noise. But in a community, sometimes you need to create something that it's like a catalyzer of new gatherings or triggers new activities.
Thank you.